a big idea. A new world order.
A new world order.
Novus Order Seclorum. A new order for the centuries, for the ages, forever.
2009 is also the first year of global governance, with the establishment of the G20 in the middle of the financial crisis.
Leaders come together and establish a framework for global governance, not a world government, but sensible governance. These measures are enacted and we continue to move forward with the G20 process. We will have the kind of global governance that is necessary to ensure the stability and transparency of markets.
Welcome to 2030. I own nothing, have no privacy, and life have never been fucking better.
And also this year, we have the UN looking at the Millennium Development Goals, which were the world's progress from 1990 to 2015, and adopting the next 15 years of goals. So what can we get done by 2030? So we pick health, education, farming, and banking, and say, we think some very dramatic things can happen. In fact, we go as far as to say we bet that life for the poorest will improve more in this 15-year period than it ever has before.
In 2017, we find ourselves caught between the incredible and earth-shaking potential of exponential technology, and a million minds pulling the reins, trying to tame the beast, and training to build out their particular vision of the fucking future.
I think this thing right here could take your whole information if it wants to.
If it wasn't for those, people would be going crazy for their phones, like, oh, I can't charge or anything. But when having those posts around, everyone's hogging it up, and then sometimes people are desperate need to charge their phones, but people are just hogging it.
All you gotta do is just plug it in. All your information is all up in here. All your information is all up in here.
Just thinking about this such vision is horrifyingly articulated, especially when Bill Gates' new purchase of $80 million for a massive land in Arizona, about 45 minutes west of downtown Phoenix. The first thing that came to my fucking mind was, what the fuck? Y'all think privacy and freedoms are limited commodities now? Try having either of those things living in a smart city control grid where everything you do is tracked, traced, chipped, and monitored 24 hours a day. These so-called smart cities aren't just some far-off futuristic abstract twinkle in the New World Order's eye. These are being built right now today. This shit reminds me of the meeting of the Global Future Councils about a techno-utopia circular economy, which one on the surface sounds great, right? I'm quite sure it does. But in the circular economy, products are turned into services. Everything is uberized. So, of course, nobody owns anything, and all non-ownerships is transparent. I'm telling you guys, this some crazy ass shit. When products start to turn into services, then we have a motherfucking problem. Everything here is designed for durability, repairability, and recyclability. It's the New World Order.
It's a very big move that's happening at the moment from product to service. I have a friend, he says, every product is a service waiting to happen. If you think about it, I mean, your cell phone, why do you want to own your cell phone? How many of you own your cell phones? How many knows if the company owns it? It's actually not a lot. I mean, you want the function, you want the service, right? Why do you want to own a cell phone if you can just lease it? And if you lease, why shouldn't you lease your refrigerator or your washing machine or your dishwasher? Or why do you want to own it? I mean, it's not like the plastic in the middle is like, I own it.
Just think about this scenario for a minute. Without privacy, forget about freedom of speech. Assembly of the basic ability to form one's own opinion about the nature of things. If the politicos are still at the top of the food chain, if the sociopathic motherfucker wolves still guard the chicken pen, we wonder, what would this society look like?
It's the front porch in the cool of the evening. To Mother and her family, it's church on Sunday morning. And to Dad, it's his favorite relaxation. It's the Cracker Barrel philosophers in Crabtree Corners. And it's the tycoons in Wall Street. It's all races, creeds, and religions. It's freedom to work at the job you like. Freedom of speech and to peaceably assemble. Freedom to own property. Security from unlawful search or seizure.
Where's your warrant, Flatfoot?
The right to a speedy and public trial. Protection against cruel punishments and excessive fines. The right to vote. And to worship God in your own way. It is these freedoms that have made America strong.
Okay, so we got our freedom. But management's lousing up everything.
Labor is at fault. It's ruining the country.
My constituents, as your elected representative, I can assure you Labor's right. Management's right. I'm strictly neutral.
Labor, management, politicians, hooey. Oh, they can't tell corn from oats.
Wait,
Take the money out of
Strike!
Hurry, step right up, folks. Here's the answer to your problems. Dr. Utopia's sensational new discovery, ISM. ISM will cure any ailment of the body politic. It's terrific. It's tremendous. Once you swallow the contents of this bottle, you'll have the bountiful benefit of higher wages, shorter hours, and security. Enormous profits, no strikes. Remember, you're the big boss. Government control, no worry about votes. Name your own salary. Bigger crops, lower costs. Why, ISM even makes the weather perfect every day. And now then, because we are introducing this amazing item for the first time in this country, it isn't going to cost you 1 cent. All you have to do is sign this little scrap of paper, and you get your bottle absolutely free.
I hereby turn over to ISM Incorporated everything I have, including my freedom and the freedom of my children and my children's children, in return for which said ISM promises to take care of me forever.
Pardon me. And who are you, my good man? I'm John Q. Public.
Oh, my fine friend, you're just in time to share this generous and gigantic offer. Sign right here.
Mind if I read it first?
Hurry up!
Keep your shirts on, boys. Including my freedom. Freedom? Well, sign away my freedom. Why, this is ridiculous.
Don't be corny, brother.
Sure, our system of free enterprise isn't perfect. But before we throw it away for some imported double talk, let's turn the clock back a few years to see what it's done for us. For example, back in the 1890s, Joe Dokes was just a guy who liked to tinker around his barn. Some people thought Joe was lazy. Some even thought he was nuts. But one day, he had an idea. And because he was free to dream, and tinker, Joe had a chance to make something of himself and his idea. So, of course, some people didn't think so much of Joe's idea. But that didn't stop him. So Joe got some money from young Aunt Minnie and Uncle Angus and Grandpappy and Mr. Titus. When Joe's friends and relatives used their savings to help him buy tools and property, they were capitalists. Don't blush, folks. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Now, naturally, Joe needed some help. So he hired Willie Lumpkin, who was out of work anyway, and before long, Willie had the know-how and became skilled labor. Because capital, management, and labor worked together, Joe's idea grew. It grew and did things even he never dreamed of. Today, the automobile industry provides millions of jobs that never existed before. And remember, this is a story of only one industry. There are thousands more scattered all over the United States whose history of development is pretty much the same. We've built a country under the American system that sends more young people to high school and college than all the rest of the world combined. Why, even in the Depression, our wages bought more food, clothing, travel, and entertainment than the wages of any other people in the world. Our country has a national income equal to the total national incomes of any other 6 nation in the world. With only 7% of the Earth's, we drive 70% of the world's automobiles. That's just a sample of the things the capitalistic system has given us in only 160 years. Before signing up, you boys ought to try a little taste of Dr. Ism's formula to see what you get in exchange for your freedom. Go ahead, try it.
You can't do this to me! I'll strike!
The state forbids strikes.
Wait till the union hears about this!
Ah, yes, the union. Welcome to our ranks, number 1313.
I'll take this case to the Supreme Court.
The state is the Supreme Court. Our decision is as follows. No more private property. No more you.
Well, the farm folk will put a stop to this.
Farmers don't vote anymore.
What'll I do for seed next year?
You won't have to worry about next year. The state will do your planning from now on.
We must fight to regain our freedom, or everything is lost. Everything!
Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine.
When anybody preaches disunity, tries to pit one of us against the other through class warfare, race hatred, or religious intolerance, you know that person seeks to rob us of our freedom and destroy our very lives. And we know what to do about it.
And now, gentlemen, no violence, please. And don't throw those bottles. Don't throw those bottles.
The flow of information will likely be managed to the bit. Models of reality will be shaped in a real time. Maps will be mistaken for territory, as nobody will have a reason to think different. Now check this out, guys. Okay, Bill Gates' goal is developing the 25,000 acres of land in a smart city that will be called Belmont. The name stems from Belmont Partners and Arizona-based real estate investment group. Well, check this out. According to them, the city will have space for about 80,000 residential units. In addition, about 3,800 acres will go towards commercial, retail, and office space, and roughly 470 acres will be used for schools. But wait, guys, there's more. This city will have a population of about 182,000 people, fairly comparable to the cities that's next to Arizona. And check this shit out. They went on and said that they will create a forward-thinking community with a communication and infrastructure spine that embraces the cutting-edge technology designed around high-speed digital networks, data centers, new manufactured technologies, and distribution models. Well. Welcome to the 2030. I own nothing, I have no privacy, and life couldn't be more fucking terrifying.
Ah, the government. It loves you and wants to keep you safe and well. It even wants to make paying taxes, fines, and court costs easier for you. How? Well, you'll need to meet your straw man. He was born the same day you were. He looks like you, has the same name, and lives in your house, but you never knew he existed. You will have even paid his parking tickets or taxes. The worst part? He's been dead from day one. From every birth certificate, a legal personality,
or legal fiction, is created with the same name to confuse little old you into thinking it's you. So there is a human you and a paper you, or as it's commonly known, a straw man. So when it seems like government officials, court clerks, or the police are speaking English, they aren't. They're speaking legalese, designed to make you agree to verbal and written contracts without even knowing about it, all spun from Black's Law Dictionary. For example, when the police say, "Do you understand?" you'll say, "Yes." What they are really saying is, "Do you stand under our authority?" Oops-a-daisy, you just created a verbal contract with them. Oh, you clever government. Did you know that whenever you register something, you are handing over title to the person you register it with? That's right. Whenever you register something with the government, they assume it belongs to them. Registered your car? Super! Now you are the registered keeper of your vehicle, and the government can crush it when you don't pay your, straw man's taxes. Expecting a new bundle of joy? Well, then you need to register your little darling with a birth certificate. Then they can start the process all over again and create a new straw man for your little one. Isn't that great? So when Junior grows up, he'll be able to generate revenue just like you have. When you notify on your baby by signing the birth certificate, your child becomes a ward of state. And if the government doesn't like what you're doing, they'll assume it's okay to take the child away or make new rules for things they don't like. Not enough school? Smacking your child? Shouting too loudly? Then it's off to social services for the little one. When you get a bill, it's sent to you, but belongs to your straw man, not you. That's why bills, fines, and summons start with Mr., Mrs., or Ms. Sometimes you'll see your surname in capitals, just like on a gravestone. That's because your straw man is dead, and just a silly piece of paper, created before you could comprehend or even consent to it. When you go to court, you represent your straw man, so you, the human, take on any costs, fees, taxes, and fines involved for the straw man. The human you doesn't even need to pay them. But you made a contract with the court by appearing on behalf of your legal personality or straw man, just like the government knew you would. Confused? Well, don't worry. The government doesn't want you to know anyway. If you knew, you'd stop paying things like council tax and parking tickets. Because when you go to court, you are representing your straw man. You are you, alive and made of flesh and blood. Your straw man or legal personality is a piece of paper created from your birth certificate. And you think it's you. What a silly Billy.
This ain't nothing but a global government fucking takeover over a nation across the planet. The goals of this are nothing more than code words for a corporate government fascist agenda that will imprison humanity and devastate a cycle of poverty while enriching the world's most powerful ass motherfuckers, the globalist corporations like Monsanto and DuPont. So, in the interest of helping humanity, let me wake your ass up to this 2030 agenda that the viewers everywhere can understand what Bill Gates, other big companies, and the elite got planned for smart cities for your ass to live in. So, as you'll see here, every single point in the UN agenda is to be achieved through this centralized government control and totalitarian mandates that resemble communism. Okay, this is the UN's 2030 agenda blueprint for globalist government. Goal 1. It says, end poverty in all its forms everywhere. Now, let me translate what this shit really means. It means put everyone on government welfare, food stamps, housing subsidized, and handouts that make them obedient slaves to the government. Never allow people upward mobility to help themselves. Instead, teach mass victimization and obedience to government that provides monthly allowance money for basic essentials like food and medicine. Label it ending poverty. Get the fuck out of here.
Okay, I'm 30 years old. I have 4 kids, and I've been on welfare for 12 years.
Do you live in government housing?
Yes. since I was 18, but they put me out because I didn't report my boyfriend. They was there with me.
Are you employed?
No.
How do you feel about that?
I'm comfortable with it, and I feel like I don't need to look for one because I get a check from the government every month.
How much do you collect in benefits?
I get $780 in food stamps, $500 in tennis, and I get Medicaid and WIC.
Let's move on to goal 2. End hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. Now, let me translate this shit for you. Invade the entire planet with GMOs and Monsanto's patent seeds while increasing the use of deadly herbicides under a false claim of increased output of food crops, engineering genetically modified plants to boost specific vitamin chemicals while having no idea of the long-term consequences of genetic pollution or cross-species genetic experience carried out openly in a fragile ecosystem. What the hell is really going on here? This is crazy.
Until now, the corn NK603, the very one selected for the study, had only been tested over a 3-month period, and that in a test environment entirely controlled by Monsanto, its manufacturer. Furthermore, concerning the Roundup, also manufactured by Monsanto, and which is used for growing corn, only its active agent, glyphosate, had been assessed. But one needs to understand that the manufacturers, in order to enable the active agent to penetrate the plant cell successfully, use additives that are sometimes more harmful than the actual glyphosate.
Le but est double.
We have 2 clear objectives. Firstly, to conduct the studies exactly according to international requirements, but making sure to be very thorough when it comes to analyzing the results. Secondly, we want to determine if there are secondary effects. The only way to do this is to carry out tests on animals and then to examine all the blood parameters whilst paying close attention to their organs.
At this stage, it might prove useful to know exactly what GMOs are used for. It is a plant that has been developed either to produce its own insecticide or to be tolerant to a herbicide, thus enabling it to be exposed to massive doses of it without dying. One can understand how GMOs could be useful to farmers. For example, they would be able to spray their entire field with Roundup, killing all the weeds in the process and never harming the genetically modified plant. On the other hand, it is hard to see the benefits for the consumer, who will effectively be ingesting substances coming from a plant that has absorbed pesticides.
Tumor of this size if seen on a human being. It is enormous.
Énorme.
After having studied these tumors, it can be said that 94% of them take effect in the mammary glands, which would equate to breast cancer in a woman. We are faced with renal tumors for the males, but not only, some males also suffer from mammary tumors. This points towards a hormonal effect that isn't affected by the dosage. 60% of breast cancer cases are caused by hormonal deficiencies.
Moving on to goal 3. Ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. Now, I know you guys really want to know exactly what the fuck this means. Okay, let me go ahead and translate the shit for you. Mandate 100 plus vaccines for all children and adults at gunpoint. Threaten the parents with arrest and imprisonment if they refuse to fucking cooperate. Push every medicine used on children and teens while rolling out screening programs. And call mass medication prevention programs and claim that they improve the health of the fucking citizens.
$10 billion over the next 10 years to make it the year of the vaccines. What does that mean exactly?
Well, over this decade, we believe unbelievable progress can be made, both inventing new vaccines and making sure they get out to all the children who need them. We could cut the number of children who die every year from about 9 million to half of that if we have success on it. And the benefits there in terms of reducing sickness, reducing the population growth. Reducing the population growth. Reducing the population growth. reducing the population growth. It really allows the society a chance to take care of itself.
Oh, and that ain't it. It's more. Let's go ahead and move into goal 4. It reads, ensure exclusive and adequately quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. That means all you little ones and all you people. Yes, it's for you guys. But, you know, how considerate I won't be if I don't translate this for you guys. Okay, this is what the fuck this means. Push a false history and dumb down education under a Common Core education standards that produce obedient workers rather than independent thinkers. Never let them people learn the real history, or else they might realize they don't want to repeat this shit again. That's crazy.
Our daily observations of the Earth are consistent with a flat and stationary surface. Most, if not all, ancient civilizations knew that the Earth was flat. The people of today would say that ancient cultures were ignorant and unaware, yet they accomplished great feats that we still can't accomplish to this day. The truth is that they had real knowledge, and some of us only have an education. But what is an education? Education is when you are told what to think and how to think. Those that are able to remember and regurgitate what they've been told on command are considered well educated. But there is a big difference between being educated and being intelligent. Just because you believe what you've been told doesn't make it true. In fact, the flat versus spherical Earth is a debate that has never really died. It's been raging for centuries. It was a huge argument as recently as the early and mid-1900s, but with programs like NASA, founded in 1958, the latter half of the 20th century was a win for the spherical Earth. It wasn't a question for the average person anymore. Though at the time the shape of the Earth was still up to be proven, NASA claims that they went to the moon and captured a shot of the spherical Earth as if they always knew it was indeed spherical.
Those of you who think this technical difficulty was planned and think I'm scamming you, go do it for yourself. Because you're going to find the exact same thing. I got nothing to hide here. This is live on the air, okay? I'm going to zoom in on the Earth in Photoshop. Can you see the Earth? To image, adjust, levels, and I'm going to bring the levels over here. And I'm going to bring the levels up. Uh-oh. What is that? Why is there a square box around the Earth allegedly taken from the scientists on the moon in Apollo 17? And people wonder why I don't trust NASA. That's why I don't trust NASA. I mean, they're always out there saying, you know, Rob, everybody's trying to show you stuff from space and you keep rejecting it. This is why I reject it. These guys are liars, you know?
What are some of the basic observations someone can make to ascertain that the Earth is neither a globe or spinning?
We've been taught that we're on a ball spinning around the sun, and so to hear that you might be on a flat plane, motionless at the center of the universe with all the celestial bodies spinning around you, just as it appears, actually comes as a surprise. But it shouldn't, because our eyes, experience, and common sense all tell us that the horizon is perfectly flat, and we feel motionless. We don't hear ourselves whizzing by at thousands of miles per hour. No matter how high amateur rockets or balloons have gone up, the horizon rises to the eye of the observer all the way up, and that's only consistent with a flat plane. Their theory just gets more and more wild as time has gone on. And so, yeah, it began with the spinning Earth going 1,000 miles per hour, which is then circling around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour, which then they decided the sun wasn't a heliocentric model, but more of an acentric model, where they don't know where the center is, and we're just exploding out of a big bang. So the sun, we're spinning around the sun, and then the sun and us are spinning around the Milky Way galaxy, they say, at 500,000 miles per hour. And then the entire Milky Way galaxy, they say, is shooting off from the Big Bang at 670 million miles per hour, almost the speed of light. So there's at least 4 rip-raging, contradictory motions supposedly going at all times, yet you don't experience any of it, nor can you measure any of it using the stars. The flat, motionless Earth is not only is it the greatest conspiracy of all, it's also the easiest to prove. I mean, it just is flat and motionless, just as it appears. Look into it more and more, make it a thing to try and debunk it, if you will. You know, even if you want to do it that way. Negative reinforcement works too. Try as you will, you're only going to find proofs for the flat, motionless Earth. You're not going to confirm that you're on a spinning ball.
Okay, let's go ahead and move into Goal 5. Achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Now, let me go ahead and translate this for you. And this one is very sickening, but let me go ahead. It means criminalize Christianity, marginalize heterosexuality, demonize male, and promote the LGBT agenda everywhere. The real goal is never equality, but rather than marginalize and shaming of anyone who expresses any male characteristics whatsoever. Well, the ultimate goal here is to feminize society, creating a widespread acceptance of gentle obedience. Gentle obedience, yes. Along with the self-weakening idea with the communal property and sharing everything, because only male energy has the strength to rise up against oppression and fight for human rights. Male energy is the key to keeping the population in a state of being a sheeple. That's why you've been seeing the gay agenda being pushed through TV shows, music, and wherever you turn your head at.
This is the Gay Manifesto by Michael